Cruise ships are finally banned from Venice following decades-long battle.
Here's a summary of the article.
Now, after a decades-long battle, residents in Venice have succeeded in getting cruise ships banned from docking there. The Italian government yesterday announced it would begin rerouting the liners away from the historic city centre. The decision comes after a cruise ship collided with a small tourist boat along one of Venice's canals in June. MSC Opera crashed into the quayside of the Giudecca Canal after injuring 5 passengers on the smaller vessel. The same month another cruise liner narrowly missed ploughing into a canal-side restaurant. The city's population of 55,000 claims the ships are threatening to overwhelm them, dropping off an estimated 30,000 visitors during the peak summer months. Venice, once known as La Serenissima, or the Serene One, has also suffered damage to its ancient wooden foundations from the bow waves of the enormous ships. Italy's Minister of Transport Danilo Toninelli said the cruise ships would gradually be moved away from current routes, the Financial Times reported.
This post received a score of 4,979, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
The city only has 1.6 million people in it, but 20 million visit it annually, and the locals are getting increasingly pissed off about it and all the problems that such massive tourism numbers bring. The massive number of tourists from China and other populated nations that used to produce only modest numbers of tourists are another. Travel, especially to more exotic locations, has become much more egalitarian and accessible in recent years. To add insult to injury, a lot of those mostly well-heeled and well-behaved tourists are now going elsewhere for the same reasons.
Greater than much of the recent pushback has been the result of Airbnb and other services. Airbnb is really not a good thing if you want a city to be viable. I live in New Orleans, and the growth of out-of-state owners taking entire apartments off the housing market has not been good for keeping rents affordable. There's been an ongoing battle to limit these things and keep the tourists in the hotels. There's a city council meeting going on today concerning this. In fact, there's a balance to tourism. It can be an important part of a city's finances, but you also need places for the locals to live and hang out without having to deal with tourists every damn day of their life, and places for them to not pay tourist prices.
Are Airbnbs usually cheaper than hotels? I've never stayed in one. I don't like the idea of staying around someone else's dirt. I'd rather stay at a hotel that has a professional cleaning staff that handles things every day. If they're cheaper though, maybe that competition would help drive down hotel prices and eventually create an equilibrium where Airbnbs aren't as profitable as investments specifically for that purpose, and it can go back to whatever it was originally intended to be.
In my experience, they've been cheaper than hotels. It's the only reason I've used them.
They're certainly cheaper if you're traveling with a large group or family. You can get a whole house for the price of a hotel room for 2 in many cases.
It helps that Airbnb skirts regulation. You can run the place a lot cheaper when it doesn't have to be up to code and you don't pay the same taxes as your competitor.
Are they going to flatten the ports back to the original depth now? IIRC, a huge problem was that they dug out the ports to allow for the cruise ships to enter, but the increased currents from the deeper ports did a lot of damage to the foundations of many houses. They recently dug deep in Key West to get the mega cruise ships in. It's destroying the mangroves in the Keys from the change to the currents. I fucking hate cruise ships.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.